Emma's Universe Podcast. Emma's Universe Podcast. Emma's Universe Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to Emma's Universe Podcast. Yes, so welcome back to another episode of our journey together. In today's episode, we're gonna be talking about, well, it's an invitation actually. It's an invitation to slow down with me, to take a deep breath and to lean into something we often resist but deeply need: patience. Oh boy, and oh, do I know this one? Yeah, I do have patience to do puzzles, like 1,000 pieces puzzle. I'm good with that. I could spend hours on sitting on a chair and enjoying it. That reminds me when I had my my cats. One of them liked to steal those pieces, so I always had one missing piece because the cat will just go and hit out on the table, and when they got bored, not only they were pushing them off the table, but one of them would go and steal them and hide it. That was awesome. So we live in a world of instant gratification. Yes, we do. Today, shipping, on-demand entertainment, same-day result. We're conditioned to want everything now. But life, the real life, meaningful part of life, doesn't work that way. Growth doesn't happen overnight. Healing doesn't follow a clock. Dreams unfold in seasons, not seconds. So in today's episode called The Quiet Strength of Patience, and I call it quiet strength because patience isn't loud, flashy, or attention-grabbing. It's study. It's resilience. It's the force that allows us to endure, to wait, and to keep believing even when nothing seems to be happening. So let's talk about redefining patience. Yes, we do, even on a Friday. Patience is often misunderstood. Some think it's simply waiting, passively sitting back until something changes. But patience is not passive, it's active endurance. Think about planting a seed. You water it, you nurture it, you give it sunlight, but you cannot force it to sprout. You cannot dig it up every day to see if it's growing. Patience is the faith that beneath the soil something is happening, even if your eyes can't see it. Patience is trust. It's believing in timing bigger than our own. Isn't it true? If you think about it, if you think about projects, if you think about planting a seed, maybe you want to buy a house. And the first thing you're going to do is, well, when you think about buying a house, and when I did mine, when I got my condo, the first thing I did when somebody told me she was looking for, I don't know, she went for about 40 of those before she picked up something. She didn't even like the house she bought. But I sat down and I said, okay, what do I want in a house? I want tall ceiling, big windows. I want green, trees, water, quiet. I think this is what I wrote down. And by way of perfect synchronicity, I got all of this. It required patience because it did not win the next day. I had to, and I did an interview with my good friend Belinda. She became a friend actually of mine. She's still a good friend of mine. She's in Texas. She runs her own Charity, actually, the old dog. This is for senior dogs that she rescued. And I had to meet her first. So you have to have patience because you have to go through the process. It took 2 months actually from the time conceptual, so it was in February. By April, actually, we did 4 visits. On the 4th one, this was the condo. We talked about it. I drove by and like, holy crap, sat down and said, that's my home. And that was my home for 20 plus years. But you have to go through the process. It's not a race. It's a marathon. It requires to have patience and understand things has to fall into places. The universe where we are in a big chessboard that is our lives, or some people can call it a game board. Everything has to move in order for things to be achieved. You're asking for a home. Your home is there, but you need the person to put that home into the market. And it wasn't even in the market yet because she was ready to put it in the market, on the market, etc., etc., etc. So things and the seed has to grow before we see the result. And patience is trust. It's believing in timing bigger than our own. Yes, I do. How it works in the world. In the universe we're in, it's you send it to the universe, you move forward, and the universe puts things in motion and guide us into the right direction. Now we have to pause for reflection. I want you to think what in your life right now feels like a seed you have planted. Maybe it's healing from a heartbreak, maybe it's starting a business, writing a book, or learning a new skill. Maybe it's a dream you hold close but haven't yet seen come to life. Patience is what allows you to stay with that process without forcing, without rushing, but with faith that what you've sown will bear fruits in its own time. Sometimes it's a pain on the butt to know that it has to be on our own time and not your time because my time is now and I want it now. Oh, yeah, that reminds me of a dilemma. Once a while I get excited and want it now. But it cannot be now because it has to go through the process to get it from point A to B. You need to go through the process to go there. That's the part of being patient. So the challenge of waiting, oh boy, let's talk about this one. Let's be honest. Waiting is uncomfortable. Yes, it is. It's painful. It's irritating. I want it now. Waiting feels like silence, like nothing is happening. Yep. And in those moments, doubt creeps in, for sure, because you let your imagination, your ego run the show. And your ego can do so many great conversations. It's like a movie on its own. It's not going to work. It's not going to do this. It's a failure, blah, blah, blah. And you starting to bring that doubt, that liquid poison of doubt in our mind. That's not what we want. That is not what we want. So we do have a tendency because, we know that waiting is uncomfortable. We know that waiting feels like the silence, like nothing's happening. But in those moments when we have those doubting and that creeps in us, we wonder if the dream will ever happen, if the healing will ever come, if the door will ever open, and we can go into despair. But here's the paradox. Waiting shapes us. The waiting period is never wasted. While we are waiting for the outcome, patience is developing our characters. It's teaching us resilience, humility, trust. It's carving out depth in us. Think about every meaningful transformation in life. A child growing in a womb taking 9 months. A butterfly emerging from a cocoon requires stillness, darkness, and time. Even the stars we see at night took millions of years to shine in the form we witness. Patience connects us to the rhythms of the universe itself. So when we are actually in that period, in the windows of waiting, One of the biggest things is to be able to have faith, determination. You know deep in your heart it already happened. It's already here. So while we're waiting, we're telling the universe, it's already here. I have it. I'm living it. It's here. I got the job, the soulmate. I got the car. I got the home. Fill out the blank. I got fill out the blank. I already have it. And it's telling our ego, that annoying voice that could be at times, that screaming voice, that loud voice, to tone it down because we already have it. That's the challenge, to do not spiraling down and be influenced by everything else around us because we don't see things coming. Yeah. So I will share two stories. I'm going to share one of my stories. I'm going to share the other one. I'm going to share the other one first. There was a woman I once knew who dreamed of becoming a painter for years. She worked at a job that drained her, and painting only on weekends in a quiet moment no one saw. She submitted her work to a gallery and was rejected dozens of times. But she kept going, not with anger, not with desperation, but with quiet patience. She trusted the process. She kept refining her art, and she kept showing up. It took 10 years before her painting were displayed in a gallery. 10 years of waiting, working, and believing. Today, her art travels the world. Her story reminds me, and I hope it reminds you, the patience doesn't mean giving up. It means staying faithful, showing up, and allowing time to do its work. Exactly. So, little story from the Club Med. Yeah. And they were, the Minitel existed, but not the internet at that time. So, yes, we know. It's like the old days. Oh, am I old? No, I'm a Gen X, people. Nobody is old. We're all young. Young and beautiful. So, when I was done with school, and I did some part-time job. I was doing some part-time job as well. However, because my uncle, who will always be a mentor to me, travel around the world, and he worked with the Club Med, and I always wanted to go and travel and work with the Club Med because that sounds so interesting. And as it was at that time, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have all of that, so they were going to newspapers and posting jobs. And he was 2 years that I had to do. It was 18, 19, 20, because I was 21 when I left. Yeah. So for 2 years, I kept, even though I was going to school, I was projecting myself somewhere else, traveling around the world, doing things awesome, blah, blah, blah. But the reality that I was living wasn't that friendly. It wasn't great. I didn't like where we lived because we lost our home, blah, blah, blah. So we don't care about that story. But where I was living with the little one into an apartment, and it wasn't what I wanted to do in life. I wasn't. Until one day, I saw, finally, after 2 years of dreaming, I saw in a newspaper that the Club Med had, job offer, which I applied for, and I did pay took the train to go to Paris and to pass the interview. That's what it was. And it was quite interesting because I thought there was a trick in there. I believed there was a trick in there. We were 5 in that room, okay? And they had, they wanted to do the interview, let us know what was coming up, blah, 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 for the job. But I think that the test was that chair. So they brought 2 chairs, 5 people, 2 chairs. And I sat on one of them. I don't know. I sat down. I didn't even ask. I just like, I'm going to sit down on this one. The others sat down on the other chair, and I think there was one or two chairs. Yeah, no, one chair. Two chairs. I don't remember. Well, the other chairs, I believe, were shared by two other people, and the two other girls, because the chair has arms, they sat, squeezed themselves on the arms. And I left because I felt that I literally failed the interview because he wasn't one-on-one. It was like 5 people and then well done. That was the weirdest things ever. So there was a McDo or somewhere over there before I hopped for the train back down. I picked up, burger. And I went down disappointed, literally disappointed, because I thought I flunked the interview. It was the weirdest interview ever. Well, a month later, I received a call out of the blue. I thought it was a joke, actually. And it was those guys calling me, then I had to go. Because this is what happened with the Club Med at that time, is they call you out of the blue and you got 48 hours to turn yourself around and you go, and you're gone. You go over there, you go to their villages, blah, blah, blah. So I thought it was a joke. I put back the person in place and I hang up. I thought that is not funny, but nobody knew I went over there for that. Mommy Dearest, nobody knew that I was doing it, but I still thought it was a joke. And he called me back and I realized it wasn't a joke because he was laughing. He said, I'm going to remember you for a long time because you're the only one who hang up in my face. And I was the director of the sports team. And I'm like, oh boy, give a good impression on this one. Well, so I went over there. Finally, that was the breakthrough for me to start to travel. But it was 2 years. 2 years of dreams, 2 years of seeing myself where nothing was moving until I saw that ad in the newspaper. Then I responded to it, and I was officially selected, and they responded back to me, and I went to Paris quietly without telling anyone. It was like 2 hours because it was using the bullet train. But it was very interesting to do that. So the patience in real life, not only from the artist that I know who took her 10 years or 2 years in my case at that time to land the job that will bring me to the next level. And I really enjoyed it because this is, you need to have a specific set of mind to do that. But it was very interesting. So when you think about what you want to achieve, even people assume overnight success. Oh, well, it's overnight success when people are 10 years of being challenged in order to get to their goal because it's their determination, because you're determined. You're going to be challenged. If you believe in yourself, if you move forward, if you continue to stick to what you know you're doing, a result will be here. I always use the WD-40, that engineer who took him 40 attempts to finally get the product that he wanted. And along the way, he discovered other things. He could have given up a number 10 test. He could have given up a number 20. He did not. Number 39, he did not. He continued to persevere. That's why it's called WD-40, because it's the 40th test he did that brought him to the right solution that he wanted to do and put it on the market. Think about that. Think about the patience that it requires to do that, and the determination, and the focus, and the goal, and the dreams. Look at the end. Don't turn around. A lot of people, when they want to accomplish, they want to do something, they are so close to their breakthrough. And you have to hop one more challenge. And a lot of people give up and go back because they don't see it. They don't cultivate their patience enough to see how to move to the next level. So maybe your waiting isn't wasted. Maybe it's preparing you. You have to see it this way. So what is the spiritual dimension of patience? Patience is more than a mindset. It's a spiritual practice. When we allow ourselves to wait without rushing, we surrender control and surrender His sacred, because you surrender. I kept going. I kept moving, but I surrender everything because I know what I wanted to do until I finally saw it. So many spiritual traditions speak of patience as a virtue because it reflects trust, in something greater than ourselves. When we are patient, we acknowledge that life has risen beyond our control, which is so true that the universe, God, or whatever name you give to the divine, is working in ways we may not see. And most of the time, we don't see it in action. I saw it in action at the time of the fire because I became the observer, and I saw things moving in front of me. They were amazing. As I said, most people will not be able to see it, but I did. I became the observer, and I saw people coming, moving pieces, doing things. I was like, holy crap, this is awesome. So, patience invites us to align with divine timing instead of forcing our own, because the more you force, the worse it gets. When you align with the divine timing, then you allow things to unfold the way it's supposed to be. And sometimes you're going to show up in the middle of the storm when everything is being thrown into your face, including the kitchen sink, but you keep moving forward, keep pushing forward, keep making that one step. Because divine timing is always there. And when we do, life often surprises us. Doors open at the right moment, right time. People cross our paths when we are ready to meet them. The pieces fall into place, not because we rush them, but because we allowed them to ripen in their own season. Yes, we do. And that is something when we talk about patience, we need to cultivate that. Think about a seed and a plant and how it grows. And you will be amazed to see it's the same thing with us. So how do we cultivate patience in daily life? Now I don't want this episode to stay abstract. I want to give you some practices you can hold on to. Breathe before reacting. When frustration arises, pause. A simple breath can shift you from impatience to presence. When we are ready to react, most of the time we're stopping to breathe. We need the oxygen in our bodies, in our brain, and that's the first step. Reframe waiting or wanting as preparation. Instead of asking, why is this take too long? That will be an asking, why does it take too long? Yes, it's me. Ask, what is this season preparing me for? Yeah, what is it preparing me for? What is the breakthrough? What am I going to enjoy? Celebrate the small progress, actually. Because a lot of people do not notice the teeny steps forward. Even if they're invisible to others, progress is often subtle before it's dramatic. Trust the unseen work, and that's where faith is part of it. Just like the seed beneath the soil, trust that things are moving even when you can't see them. In a case of me, when I'm sharing with the Club Med, it took 2 years for me to get that ad in a freaking newspaper. 2 freaking years. And I was patient because I kept believing. I kept pushing. I remember sitting in that bus, going from school back to the place we are living. And I still see myself sitting and pushing and seeing myself somewhere else, dreaming bigger and better, even if I saw nothing moving. And practice gratitude. Gratitude grounds you in the present, and the universe likes to see people grateful. I'm grateful for my pop-ups every day. I'm grateful for where I'm at right now. I am grateful for doing this podcast today. I'm very inspired and grateful, because I'm reminding myself that life is still unfolding beautifully, even in the waiting phase. So, patience is not weakness. It's quiet strength. It's the power to stay steady when life feels slow, to keep believing when results aren't immediate, and to trust that our journey is unfolding exactly as it should be. So, if you are in a season of waiting right now, I want to tell you this. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are right where you need to be. The waiting is shaping you, preparing you, deepening you. Patience is not the absence of progress. It's the soil where true growth takes root. Takes root, not take roast. We're not roasting anything. We're taking root. This is where it is. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If this episode resonated with you, take a moment to sit with it, journal about it, share it with someone, or simply breathe in it. And remember, your life is not a race, it's a journey. And patience is your companion along the way. All my love, guys, and I will talk to you later. Bye now.
Universe podcast. Universe podcast. Universe